Hey, Ed, I just want to thank you so much for doing this, man. This is an absolute honor to get to interview you, man. It's pretty badass. ROH World
That's
Champ.
awesome. Actually, when I saw the picture, I remembered you like so well because when I saw you in that crowd, I said, "This guy looks like Hernandez." You know, like Impact Days.
Yeah.
Because I worked him before, and then from far away, I saw you. Is that Hernandez? That can't be him. He's not here. And then because you're jacked and everything, so I thought that you look like him a little bit.
Oh, well, I appreciate
The
that.
bandana and everything. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome, everybody, to the Juice Pro Wrestling episode 93. He's Not Human, with the ROH World Heavyweight Champion, PCO, the French Frankenstein himself. What's going on, PCO?
Hey, man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm great. I'm getting ready for Atlanta this weekend. And, everything's rock and rolling, man. I'm awesome. What about you, Juice?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing great, brother. I have the opportunity to sit here and talk with you, so that's a hell of a good time. And I'm enjoying a frosted Budweiser, and we're getting ready to rock and roll, man. It's been one hell of a ride this year so far. We just got through a week ago interviewing Tito Santana, so that was another dream come true to talk to a legend, and such as yourself, man. But it's been great, man. It's been a fantastic ride.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is 2019 was like unbelievable for me. I mean, this is my best year ever in my whole career. I mean, what can I ask more? I mean, as far if you go to the end of the year, and welcoming like 2020 and looking on the past year, I mean, it's such there's so many things that happened, like so many titles that I've won, that were important to me, and the 6-man with Villain Enterprise, the tag team,
the Crockett Cup
on ROH, on NWA, the Crockett Cup, the World Heavyweights, the only loss that I had against David in Toronto, which was like a world title match in Toronto, Canada, which was like cool too, and then everything that went on, like creating new videos, new vignettes, being creative every week, coming out with a video per week.
I love the Monday night PCO. I love it.
Yeah. Monday night PCO and Destro, and then also, coming up with different stunts, so to speak, to get the people where it's like double psychology, where you have like, okay, you're cheering for your guy, and he's not human and all that, and then he does something, and then he's, oh my God, he's gonna get up or he's gonna stay there, and I remember that night where I had an electrical malfunction. The current was not going right to my brain. Something happened. I had a short circuit or something. And my opponent is like, let's say on the left side, I hit the rope on the ropes on the left side, but I don't dive on that guy. I dove on the other side where there was nobody.
Yeah, I seen that.
That particular night, instead of having 2 strips of mattress on the floor, it was at Center Stage in Atlanta. Actually, the way that it's made, you can only fit 1 strip of of mattress, so I'm diving right into the concrete, and I ended up like being concussed and 17 stitches, and then I got the referee telling me, "Oh, you can't wrestle no more. You're bleeding. There's too much blood. You're not all there, and then you can't finish that match." And I shoved Todd St. Clair and told him to get out of my way, that I was going to finish that match. And that was, that made that night pretty like historical in any case for myself.
Yeah, man. Talk about short circuit.
That was a great souvenir, because I'm at the hospital, and then I got that lady who's doing like the doctors doing my stitches, and I go, "It's okay if I shoot a video while you're doing my stitches?"
Yeah.
People are scared usually of stitches. I said, "No, I'm going to do a great video, okay? I'm not going to film your face." So I'm having like the dojo, newcomers that are training at the dojo, at the ROA dojo. They're taking care of me. So I'm asking them, "Okay, can you film that?" And then as she's doing the stitches, I go, "That's a good job. Good job. That's a good job." And she freaked out. So she never seen anything like that. And that was like, I had such a blast. I had so much fun that night.
I bet, man. I love it, and that's one of the things I love about you and this whole Renaissance. This, the French Frankenstein, man. It's got this. I'm a big horror buff myself. Can you tell us a little bit like where you drew Inspirato from that? Because you got like that, and I know Destro was like an old school strongman guy, right?
Yeah, he still is. Actually, I would put like right now I'd put $10,000 on the table to anyone who can do what he can do. If you can bend a penny and a half, or you can bend a spike, let's say you would be able to bend a spike, which I doubt that anyone can bend a spike, because even Mark Henry was not capable of bending one of his spikes. But if ever you would even bend it a little bit, by the time you would be doing yours, you had like 30 bent already. So that's why I wouldn't be afraid to put like, 10 grand and say, because he's done it before at the Arnold Classic, where all the strongest men in the world, they were all there. And he challenged anybody that could do what he's doing. If anyone could beat him at one of his thing, which is, rolling like 2 fry pan, one on top of each other, or bending spikes, or that many spikes, or that many Dexa cards, or 2 or 3 Dexa cards on top of each other. Whatever, he's still that strong.
Yeah.
So he's teaching me, and he's reinforcing my hands, and the first thing that he did when we start working out together, he said, "You get rid of those straps. I don't want to see those straps ever.
Really?
I don't want to see straps. You're gonna train on fat drips. You're gonna train, with your bare hands, and if you can't handle that weight, well, you have to work on your grip. You're not gonna pull with the straps. You're gonna pull with your hands." So that was one thing, and then doing all the things that he wanted me to do, and then I had already like a little run on the indie scenes, and sometimes I would say, "Hey man, would you mind just holding the camera while I'm shooting a little promo for that federation or that promotion or whatever?" And then eventually, after a few months, he said, "Well, hey, I think there's something missing in your, just talking like that and saying like next week or next month or that date. I think I'm going to show you how to do some feats of strength. I've been training you for that, and now I want you to do some." And so the first thing that I put a lot of time into it was to just rip the deck of cards. So
that's tough.
First, cut the deck, and so when I wrestled Walter at Georgiana Spring Break, WrestleMania 34 at the weekend, had a minute chant there, cut the deck, because we had time to shoot. We had shot 3 vignettes until I fought with Walter at WrestleMania weekend. So I was just PCO, but we were doing like feats of strength, like bending steel bars. I did the roll of fry pan, and I did the cut the deck, or something like that. And then eventually, when I did that's when it all started. That's the last video I did for Walter. And I'm getting out of those elbow straps when you want to do like abs, you know, for the bottom of the stomach, just to reinforce that. So I'm bending my knees up and I'm touching my legs on top of the cage, the squat cage, but my elbows are into those straps to hold me. So I'm pretty wide, so I get out of those straps and I have problems getting my elbows out, and then I'm walking, my back's, you know, like he's seeing myself backwards. I'm walking away from him, and he said, "Hey, come back here. I just saw something." So what did you see? No, I just saw something. So what is it? He said, "Man," he said, "you walk just like Frankenstein." It's just like I'm looking at you. It's like it feels like you have bearings instead of hips. You know, it's like you're going sideways and. It's weird walking, and you just remind me of Frankenstein. I always thought that guy was pretty ugly. I never liked him, but if you say that it could be me, and it is me, I don't mind being him. You know.
Yeah.
So, and then I totally embraced that character, and
look where you are
we were
now.
doing like videos, and we were getting. Always, every video was getting closer and closer, and eventually I got a little deal with Major League Wrestling.
Yep.
With Court Bauer, and out of nowhere, you know, they started saying that it's French Canadian Frankenstein, and French Canadian Frankenstein, French Frankenstein, and all that, and then it just kind of grew from there, you know. It's and then that was all over the place, and I became the poster boy for all the indie promotion. I was like always main eventing like mini indie shows, maybe 3-4 times a week. So it's like fully booked, you know, from that WrestleMania weekend. From that day on, the phone started ringing and it never stopped. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I was, now I'm 37, so I've been watching it since I was a little kid. I remember, like, you know, the Quebecers and your time in ECW and WCW, the early, like, the TNA days, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what really caught my attention with the current gimmick, the French Frankenstein was, I believe, what was it? It was an East Coast promotion. They were what was it? What was their name? They had a lot of dark stuff. They had the guy from Hellraiser, was like their GM. It was
yeah, absolutely. In Pittsburgh, it was
Black Craft,
the clothing, you know.
Yeah.
Black Craft Wrestling, which are doing, I think, Seth Rollins' shirt, you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's Black Craft, yeah.
And that was
they're into clothing.
That was like the first exposure I had to this gimmick, this character, and I was just, my mind was blown. I'm like, wow. Like, for one, like, how has this never been done before? Or it's a good thing it's never been thought of or been done before, you know, but and the way you pull it off and the stuff you do, and, you know, at your age, I was just blown away, because I remember too when you retired back in like 2010, 2011, I think it was.
Yeah.
And
2011.
And I remember you even doing stuff like up in with Hannibal and what was it, the Great White North or Great North Wrestling?
Great North Wrestling. That's all. That's how my comeback all started, you know.
Yeah.
I
remember
2011. I'm doing a radio show at home in Montreal, and the host goes, "What's going on with, you know?" We're talking about the past and things like that, and I don't know why he asked me to be on the show, because I was not hot at all. I was not doing anything, you know. I had quit the commentary job that I had, like, doing TNA for 3 years in French in Montreal, which was a great job. And I quit that over, like, no, I want to be a world champion, so I'm going to go back on the road. And so I went to England. So my boss, look, I was making like great, super good money. I was working an hour a week, for that. And I was making like as much money as any wrestler can make almost. I was making more money than I was making when I was wrestling in TNA, actually, just doing the voiceover for 1 hour.
Yeah.
So I told this guy after 3 years, I got in the office and I say, I want to quit the commentary job. He says, why? Because they were happy. They had good ratings. I was making a little show too, on with the other commentator.
Mm-hmm.
So he was happy and said, why? Because we're having good ratings and we're doing well. And, well, I say, I always wanted to be a world champion. I didn't want to be a commentator in this business, and I feel that I'm too young to be a commentator for my expectation. For the goal that I had when I was 14 years old was to become the next Hulk Hogan.
Hell yeah.
So he said, he looked at me like I was kind of crazy. I was 39 at that time. And he said, if you want, you can keep I'm going to put someone else. You go in England, you try to get booked by WWE. You do whatever you have to do. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you have plan B, and you can come back here and you'll have your job back. And I say, well, I've got another plan B. And he said, what is it? He said, my plan B is my plan A. If plan A doesn't work, I go back to plan A again. So I said, just hire someone else. I wasn't cocky about it, though. I was just like, explaining to him that if plan B wasn't good, that was not going to lead. That was not going to bring me nowhere, because plan B was going to show that I don't believe in myself and I don't believe in what I do, and I don't have the confidence that I'm going to make it. Mm-hmm. So that's why I called that documentary with Kenny Johnson, Burn the Ships, because you get to that island and you're in war. You burn the ships, you either die on the island or you come back, you live there. So that was my mentality. So I went to England and I got like maybe 2 tryouts at WWE. But, the thing with WWE is like, if you're like asking for a job, they don't value you as much as if they want you to be with them. Right. So every time you can have the best match or a bad match or whatever match, just the fact that you're there asking for a job, it's just not cool. It's not a good feeling. I can tell you, because there were days that I would show up at noon and I would wait to talk to Vince until 2 a.m. in the morning, and there was only him left with 2 bodyguards at one time. And I went to the bodyguards and say, can you just tell Vince that Pierre Carl is waiting for him outside? And they went inside and they come back. And Vince already left, but I know the building in Montreal. That was not in England. That was in Montreal. I know the building. You can't go. It's a dressing room. It's a hockey locker room. There's no exit door. So I said, okay, he left. So I keep on waiting. I wait another 15 minutes. Vince is coming up. So I'm going to Vince. Hey, Vince. And then those 2 big guys, they were like super huge, like 6'7", 6'8", 350. Ooh. They both jumped me by the throat, and then Vince goes, no, guys, no, I know him. Don't touch him. And he goes, hey, Carl, what can I do for you? Well, I said this, I'd like to come back and work for you again. He says, well, you should talk to John Laurinaitis about that. Well, yeah, okay, that's good. That's what I did all day. So I was waiting to talk to him, and sent me back to John. So that's, and then when I quit my job and I went to England, and I went and I had to go to Sean and then go through Sean, that Sean could talk to Vince, and Vince was allowing me a match, and I think I worked against Dreamer, and we had a good match, and then, creative, don't have anything for you. 2003, I had the first match. I opened up Raw on the dark, but they wanted to have a good pop, so I had like the whole building chanting my name. They called me 2 weeks after. They said, no, Vince is not creative. They don't have anything for you. So, it was like that. 2003, 2005, the TNA, the ECW, and nothing was like gluing. Nothing was like, the cake was not lifting it up.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening. So 2011, I'm doing that guy's interview, and so well, what's up with the wrestling career? So I felt, well, I've tried everything, like in my mind, there's nothing that I've sent a FedEx a day for almost a year, 6 months for sure, maybe a year. And I was creating a new letter every day with different stuff in it, trying to get Vince to move and to say this guy really wants it,
Yeah.
That didn't change anything, it just cost me $20 a day for, the 6 months that I did it or the year that I did it. And then when I get jumped by the bodyguards, and then I had to, tried so many different things. I went to Puerto Rico, tried to create a new gimmick. We became a champion in Puerto Rico, send that footage back here and the States to Vince, and then, we might look at it. Okay, we're going to bring you in. But it was always like one of those, maybe. We'll give you a good chance. And then, it was always so-so. So 2011, I was really down. Like, I was like, oof, what it's going to take to realize that dream. So I told the host, I think I'm pretty much done. That's the way I said it. I think I'm pretty much done. Yeah, I would say it's over. And when I said that, it's something that it created something where I've been wanting that for all my life so hard that I've wanted, and I wanted my way, like thinking it was going to happen the way that I thought. And when I decided to let go and to not think about it for a while, I'm starting to do just like that. I'm doing like just open up YouTube channels, and I'm just decide to have like just totally another branch. I'm having like people that are doing they're humorists. I'm trying to what was their, a little bit like you're doing with wrestling, but I was doing that with guys that were into humor.
Yeah.
And I would have a setup by home, and then I would ask them questions about their career and what was the way that they, wherever they were. There was most of the guys that I had, they were on the, they were coming up. They weren't big names yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they were okay. Some of them were making a living with that, but they weren't big stars. So a friend of mine who has a big website on wrestling says, well, to help you out with your YouTube video, I'm going to put you on my website. You're going to get more viewers. You're going to get more subscribers. So I'm thinking in my mind, here I go again with the wrestling. so I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So from that, I got guys that I'd never met in my life. They knock on my door. They called me. They came to my place. They go, oh, PCO, no, you don't understand. You're such a big name in pro wrestling. You can't do that shit. You got to do wrestling shit. Talk about wrestling. Talk about your career,
Yeah.
Talk about wrestling. You're a wrestler. Your story is very interesting. Don't do that bullshit. That's going to lead you nowhere. So then I'm going to bed and thinking, well, should give it another, like, I was not so high on commentary and then this and that. So I'm starting to making like some analyzing a pay-per-view and making my comments after a pay-per-view. So I'm changing now. I'm back into wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing the guy, Great North Wrestling, Hannibal, calls me. Said, PCO, I got a match for you. I would like to book you on some of the shows in Ontario. So I said, okay, I'm going to go there. So I go there, and then I wrestled that guy, and Sid Vicious, who's a good friend of mine, was in that show.
Yeah, we've talked to Sid.
And, okay. So he was on that show, and I sold the show against that guy who was a strong man that's called Maximir.
Yeah.
So totally like chance, all kinds of things. You still got it, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. So I'm thinking, well, man, that feels good. I think I can make it. I can still dream about my goal that I had when I was 14. It's still inside. I feel that flame. So I'm backed up, So like now I'm doing those shows. I do now I'm getting booked, like in Montreal and Canada, all over the place. Now I got like Michael at the show where I met you. Michael Blendon called me up. I never heard of him. He said, I saw you on the Hannibal TV.
Yeah.
I would like to bring you in. I just brought Raven in, and he said, I saw your matches and everything. I want to do that. We'll call the show We're Not the Mounties. You know, it's something special and everything. And he had just started his promotion. It wasn't that great. So he said, I got 2 dates for you. He said, I got January 13 or I got April 21. So, you know, I'm always like very high on my goal. You know, I had like a few years where I was not at all. I totally let go of everything. Mm-hmm. But when I saw that the crowd was reacting, that something was going on, and then I could feel like they say at a UFC match, you know, like I could smell the blood. Yeah. You know, I knew something was up.
Smell the juice.
I started to crank up the thing, you know, so I go, yeah, I was willing to go there. So he says, I'm going to give you a real good worker. His name is Ethan Page.
Yep.
So I watched all the Ethan Page match. I didn't know the guy before. So I watched him, and I said, I can have a good match with that guy. So I knew by April I wanted to be in WrestleMania. So I say I'm going to do January 13th. I didn't think, as far as being in shape, the way that I wanted to be in shape, I didn't think I was going to be maybe ready, but I had to take that chance. So I'm going, and there's a big snowstorm, and my flight's staying on the ground, and the hours go by, and I was like, I'm going to miss that show. I'm going to miss that freaking show. And then eventually we take off, and then I get to the building. I've got like 15, 20 minutes to put my boots on, and quickly talk with Ethan, blah, 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 blah. It was all, we'll just call it in the ring. We don't have time, blah, blah, blah. So ended up having a hell of a match with him, with Page. And Joey Janela was there because he was on a match before or after me, I don't know. But he was in the stands watching, and Joey, on the way back to the hotel, goes, I'd like to get you on my Janela Spring Break show. Because his partner was Danny Demento, and I didn't know because I worked with Danny. Mm-hmm. At one point, I did some show in Lewiston, Maine, and some in Jersey with Danny when he was really heavy. And so I couldn't really remember. He says, Danny knows you, and I told him about you, and you're going to wrestle Walter, big Austrian guy.
Yeah.
I said, who's Walter? I said, who's Walter? I didn't even know Walter. I said,
right.
Who's Walter? Yeah, the big Austrian guy, you know, like he speaks German. Big, huge. It's going to be a good matchup. I said, I'm cool, man.
Yeah.
So I went back home, and I'm doing some more indies, and eventually he called me up. They booked me for Walter, officially booked me against Walter. And then he goes, you know, we had a huge buzz last year for the first spring break. This year they're expecting more, but we're kind of tight on budget, so we can't really fly you there. So you would have to make your own way there. So mm-hmm. Don't worry, I'm going to drive there. Thinking it was going to take me like 16, 17 hours. So I'm calling Destro every 8-10 hours. I'm there, but I didn't have any GPS. You know, I was not organized for that. The GPS now. I got Uber, GPS. I got all kind of stuff. But I was back on the road, so I had just looked at a map, which I'm going to take the 95. And instead of going left to Florida, I'm going to go right to Louisiana. That should be 25 hours. So that's the way I kind of checked out the road. Ended up being like 40 hours to get there and 40 hours to come back. And I didn't sleep because I didn't have time to take a night of sleep because I had to be there on time for the show. So I slept. I got there at maybe midnight the day before the match. So a good night where I could sleep, and the next day I was wrestling Walter, and then Walter came up to me. He says, "Oh, how are you doing? Do I know you?" He said, "Yes, we wrestled in Germany together 10 years ago in 2008 at the 16 carat tournament." Oh, cool. So there was a little chemistry at least because we knew each other.
Yeah.
And when he told me, I kind of remembered that match. It was a 6-man match at the 16 carat. And I remember seeing that big, tall guy. I was 18 years old and totally fresh and green. And then so I said to Walter, I said, maybe, you know, you were last week the PWG World Heavyweight Champion. You're like everywhere on the indie scenes. You've been working maybe 20 matches just this week. But that one match at midnight or past midnight on the spring break against me, this is our WrestleMania match. This is my WrestleMania match. This is the match of my life. So I want you to know that. So I want you to be, you know, pumped and excited, and we're going to tore the house down. So I said, I was looking at me like, is he normal or is he crazy or what? Like he's skeptical a little bit. And then when I told him what I wanted to do during the match, he was going to be crazy. So, you know the story. I got introduced. There was a little bit of a chant of cut the deck, you know, maybe very, very shy chant. Most of the people didn't know who I was. Cold as hell. Is maybe 1 a.m. in the morning. People have seen so much wrestling.
Yeah.
But when we started trading, we started the regular start, the match start just very regular. And then Walter is known for the chops. So bang, chops knee. Eventually I chopped back. We traded. My chest turned blue, green, purple. My chest is bleeding.
Yeah.
You've seen the pictures, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
How dark my chest was. And I don't feel pain, and I don't feel nothing. And I'm going at it, bang, bang, bang. And then, I don't know, we did like from one corner to the other corner, back to another corner. And then the crowd they stood up. And then once they were up, making a big comeback on Walter, then I did like a springboard, a split-legged moonsault on the top rope. Then I had another move. He had power bombing to a table. I'm doing a moonsault from the top rope to the outside. Nobody's there to catch me. It's Walter and a referee. I hit my head on the ground. I cut them with just the edge of my feet. They go back. We go back into like a couple of falsies. I beat them with which was my finish at the time, the old Jean-Pierre Lafitte cannonball. So 1, 2, 3, the crowd erupts. The social media, the internet is on fire. Everybody's talking about PCO. Who's PCO? What's PCO? What are the PCO stories? And then from that night on, it was like getting booked all over the place. The Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. I've done so many podcasts that year, the Prime Time, Sean Mooney, and, and on and on and on. Yeah, and anyways, I was very busy, and then at the end of the year last year, I had like all the companies that wanted to sign me, and then I made the choice to go with Ring of Honor. Not last year, but at the end of 2018.
Right. Yeah, because you spent the last year. I mean, and what a damn year for you. I mean, just that story and realizing your dream, becoming world champion. I mean, and being a guy who's, you know, your character is just, it's over like Rover. It's probably one of the most over gimmicks anywhere. So I could imagine, you know, companies like even upstarts like AEW or WWE, of course, wanting you back. I respect that decision.
Impact.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Impact, MLW, you know, we see them a lot out in Cicero. I've been to several of their shows. I was just at their Super Fight pay-per-view a couple months ago. You know, the world was your oyster at the moment, you know, and you picked ROH, which is ROH has a lot of history. And to hold that title, you know, I mean, we're talking about a title that not many, I mean, they've had some champions, but it ain't like a title where like WWE, where it was, you know, how many times a year would that thing change hands? ROH isn't like that, you know. It's very, very cool and very awesome. I can't imagine what it's like to even be in your boots to hold that belt, and especially with the dreams and the aspirations you had to hold the world championship and for a major company, you know. And ROH is still rocking and killing it.
You know, since they've owned by St. Clair, they own like 220 TV syndicate TV stations, and they got the Honor Club, and we sold out the Madison Square Garden in April last year, and we are seeing over more than 500,000 people per week. And on everything else that gravitate around that, and the lineage of champions that they had, you know, guys like CM Punk, like Kevin Owens, and,
Samoa Joe, Low-Ki,
all those guys,
Jerry Lynn,
absolutely. Adam Cole, I think, too, you know. So it's something really, really, because, you know, like Kevin, when he was coming up, we wrestled so many times against each other. We were like buddies, you know.
Yeah.
Even though I was older than him, like we were good friends, because he's probably the same age as Marty Skrull and all those guys. You know, he's around 35, 36.
You guys are roughly from the same territory, somewhat, right?
We worked for the IWS a lot. And, and then he broke in with Jacques Rougeau, and I was there at the school, like, when he broke in, and
another legend,
we
Jacques
had many
Rougeau.
matches together, and with Sami Zayn as well. I had so many matches with him, and actually Sami Zayn came up with the pop-up bomb for me against him.
Nice.
He came up with the move, but for me to toss him up in the air. And then that became Kevin's finish for a while. And then when I went to TNA, I asked Kevin if I could use this, politely asked him if he wouldn't mind if I used a package pile driver there for my finish. So then I used it a few times, and he was all cool about it. And actually, Kevin texted me when I became champion, and he told me that it should have been done last year.
Yeah.
Which I totally understand from a standpoint where you're looking at everything from the outside.
Right.
But I think timing was right to be this year. You know, I think it was perfect. It was perfect. To me, I wouldn't change anything.
Oh yeah.
Everything happened the right way. And I'm happy with everything. And I'm happy that, you know, that I'm always in touch with my friends, you know, some of the good friends like Kevin and some of the guys that I met over the years through the business, and like Sid, like, you know, he calls like once in a while, or I call him.
Sid's good people. I spent 5 hours talking to him.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah, man. I had so much fun with Sid on the road.
Oh, I bet, man. I mean, back in the day, I mean, because you were a part of that WCW tandem. I mean, you and Jock were both there for a hot second, right?
Yeah, for a second. But when we were there, every time that I was with Sid, Jock wasn't with me.
Right.
I met Sid. It was like Jock decided to retire in '94. That's when Sid came back in WWE at the end of '93 or middle of '93. And then he came straight to me and said, I really like your work. I like the way you work and things like that. So I thought that was really cool, because I was a big fan of his WCW days when he debuted. He was Skyscrapers and all that.
Yeah, with Dangerous Dan Spivey, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then Spivey came after as Well and Mercy when I was there in '95. But I didn't have the same chemistry with Spivey that I had with Sid. Me and Sid, we connected right away. We were good friends, and but you know, Sid was like mostly the top guy, and so I was learning a lot from him. So and then I got to train with GST George St. Pierre for probably 4 or 5 months,
Nice.
nonstop, almost every day. So I got to know, what it takes to be a champion and the sacrifice and the discipline. He was way more disciplined than I was at the time.
Right.
But now that I was going into, I said I was smelling the blood, and then I remembered how GSP was, and I said that's how I have got to be in order to achieve what I want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I went to see Destro in 2017 because I knew he was that type of guy too. When you spend maybe 2.5 years to bend your first nail and a half, you need to be constant, and you need to be disciplined, and you need to be like, no matter what, I'm going to do it. So you need to make that decision, just like JF Kennedy said. Like, I don't know because I've seen in that video not too long ago, and he said, we're going to the moon, and all the journalists ask him, how are you going there? So I don't know. We'll find out. The only thing that I do now, I commit myself that United States of America, we are going to the moon, no matter what. So that thing, that's what I said when I came back, that I'm going to be a world champion no matter what. That was the commitment. I didn't know how. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew that's what I wanted to become. And Destro was on my way. All the past experience, the GSP, the Sid, the champions that I had the chance to be around. Hulk Hogan, I was around him for a while too, because we did a show in Montreal where Jacques was wrestling Hulk and I was wrestling the Big Show. I was a semi-main, Jacques was the main. I remember spending a lot of times around Hogan and watching, his mindsets and the way that he was approaching things and things like that. And
good psychology, man.
So I kind of mold my mindset around the champions that I had the chance to be around.
Yeah.
And for when I was younger, I was not ready to pay the full price. I was more the type of guy at one point. All the way up to when I made it to WWE, I was pretty dedicated and really focus-oriented about becoming a world champion. But when I got signed, and then I was, we were going in Europe, and there was a lineup of girls in front of my door, and then it was all new to me,
Right.
It was like, what is this? That's crazy. That sounds like a lot of fun. And then
yeah, PCO.
Then I start losing my focus. Then I really want to be the champ. I wanted all those girls for me.
Yeah, like Andre used to,
Yeah. Where sometimes just partying like all night and getting in the bus the next day just in time. Barely getting up and having a headache and saying, tonight I'm not going out. I'm staying in. And by the time my match is done, I'm fresh again. I'm saying, we're good for tonight again. And then, I kind of lose my focus, and I came up with it was more about the ego and about it was getting to be the champion to get more of the fun, and to be rock and rolling,
roll,
like the rock and roll superstars,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then that for me, that ended up like it was fun until it was like, okay, I got your notice. You're not on the next pay-per-view. You get mad for almost everything. You got those rage. You got those guys like bumping into you. Hey, brother, Montreal, your hometown. I'm going to give you a big boot, jackknife, 1, 2, 3. And then you get all wound up. And then you get to the show and you're telling them, no, it's not going to happen like this. Because if it's going to happen like this, I'm going to take my bag and I'm going home. And you're going to wrestle by yourself, brother. So, I was like, I just totally changed my from when I wanted to make it so badly in WWE and WWF. By the time I got there and I had a little push and I had a nice undefeated streak and all that, and I could push, and it went up to my head, and then I kind of lost track of what I was doing and lost the focus, and I was not doing this thing for the right reason, not for the same.
But that's life,
reason that
you know?
I'm doing it today.
Yeah, that's life, and that's good that you went through that shit and experienced that, because I mean, you use that as a stepping stone to, you know, you learn from it, and that's what makes you quality people, because there's a lot of people in the world that don't learn from their mistakes, and they have had similar experiences in all walks of life and entertainment and whatever they do, and you don't learn from it, and you fall, you know?
Yeah, at the beginning, I was like almost like everybody else would do, you know. I was blaming Sean, and I was saying that's Kevin Nash's fault, and Vince is this. He doesn't run his own company. He's getting the kid runs the company for himself, and it was like everybody's fault, but except mine.
Right.
And then at one point, I don't know what was the thing that really made me think that looked at myself in the mirror and said, you know, well, I remember what I did. I took a piece of paper and I decided to take my environment, all the people that were surrounding me or had surrounded me during the part of my career before I got fired. Mm-hmm. And I was like, let's say I was putting a name of it, not in the wrestling business only, but that was in all kind of life, all over life, you know?
Yeah.
So let's say one of my friend's wife that I didn't like. So I would write what I didn't like about her, or a certain guy, what I didn't like about him, or Sean, what I hated about him, Kevin, what I hated about him, another guy, another girl, another guy, my mom, my dad, whatever. And then I look at all the things that I hated about people, and then it kind of, the piece of paper kind of really focused right under my eyes, and it kind of glued to me, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, that's a pretty good image of who I am. And that was the flipping point. That was the real turning point. That was the year 2000, because I got released in December 1999, and I was without a job in the year 2000. And that was when I really dove down and the hard time and the tough time of my life, where I really felt like I was really dead inside, you know?
Yeah.
And then I really had to, to find self-esteem and rebuild my self-confidence and change my inside. Instead of trying to change the outside world, I have to change the way that I was thinking about myself, and the way that I was thinking about others, and the way that I was judging others, and the way that I was thinking that I was smarter than better than everyone else. And it was a big ego trip that I had to kill my big ego right then. And it took a lot of courage to do that, and it was a tough time. But looking at it today, that was the best thing that could ever happen to me. That's what, totally, I didn't know at the time what was going to happen, but that really relaunched my career back then, even though it was a slow process, because you're trying to find, how to get better and how to do the things, but it's still, you have habits, you have a program that's been installed in you through all those years that it's hard to make those changes. But, so I had sometimes I was on a good period of time where I was really trying to make everything happen and that I thought I was really good. And then I would let's say, have a girlfriend, and then everything went again crashing down, and then I felt again that, okay, maybe I wasn't right, and this and that. So I had many setbacks, and tried a lot of things also to come back in the business, and it wasn't a success, many failures. but I kept my eyes on the goal, and I think that goal, that to become the champion now, was not about glorifying my ego, but it was about, in order to get there, I really got to work on myself. So it became a personal development situation. And then I started to read a lot of books, and I started to get inspired by a lot of biography of people that have, made success, like guys like Nelson Mandela that were in jail and came out of there and became president, and all those guys. And then I got a little bit from everybody. And then the George Foreman story, where at 23 he was on top of the world. Holly knocked him out on his ass.
Yeah.
Then he went through a period of time. Yeah, he went through a period of time where he was so depressed, and then he did so many weird things until he decided to come back at 38 and became the oldest champion at 45.
I remember.
That was another big inspiration. So I got inspired by a lot of underdog stories like that, and underdog real life movies and things like that. And I started to really believe in my dream again, built myself, and then I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it. I'll do it. I'll make it. I'm doing it. I'm having it. I can, I will, I do. I used to say that to myself, like so many times during the day, I can, I will, I do. I can, I will, I do. I can, I will, I do. I can, I will, I do, and things like that. And just trying to, organize my mindset. And that's it. Those guys, I started doing things, the Great North Wrestling, and everything started to puzzle together. All the pieces of the puzzle, like, falling in place. The Indiana show, the Joey Janela, the Spring Break, the Walter, the this, that, the Ring of Honor, the World Tag, the keeps on piling up. Because I had, like reading books sometimes, is like, if, let's say your goal is trying to, to teach you a lesson, but you don't learn, but you keep on going, it's like it's like when you're going to make it, the harder that it was to make it, the bigger the price will be, know. So if I'm looking backwards and I'm looking forwards, it doesn't mean it's going to be that many years, but I think it's going to be a whole lot of money, though. Not because I want it to be money. It could be a lot of people.
No, but
it could be a lot of buy rates.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of buy rates. It could be a lot of people. It could be a lot of sellouts.
It's because it's your job and your hard
work. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The payoff is going to be huge because I've worked so hard without getting anything.
Yeah.
Except, knowledge.
Because PCO is fucking
things.
huge. Yeah.
But I know, and the payoff is there on the other side. And winning the title is just the beginning of something that's going to be even 10 times bigger than the world title.
Oh yeah, so, I mean, look at you're at the Montreal.
That's the way I see it.
You're on the ice, I mean, I'm sure you're a big hockey fan. Not to cast stereotype, but I mean, come on, Canada, Montreal, Quebec. I mean, you got to be a big hockey
course.
fan. I mean, that's
I mean, you're in front of 21,000 people.
Jeez.
They're all hockey fans. And you're capable of getting a PCO chant.
Yeah, that's insane.
I dare any wrestler to go in a hockey arena
they couldn't hack
and
it,
try
man.
to get a chant or an ovation as a wrestler. It's pretty. It's a good feat. It's something pretty unusual. And then I made the NHL.com.
Yeah,
which is there's millions and millions of followers. So I got myself in different walks of life other than just a wrestling crowd.
Crossing
that's
over.
The main thing. Guys like Hogan and Austin, when they were on top, it was not just a wrestling
No, they crossed
that
over.
Knew them. It was everybody that knew them. Everybody at school knew them. Everybody knew who they were, or you could see an Austin shirt or a Hulkamania shirt almost
Look
in
at
any
the Rock.
store or any gym.
Mm-hmm.
It was like all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's the goal now. That's what I'm aiming at, just really impacting the business. I mean, the story could end up right now and be a real nice success story, but I wanna push it, in a way where
to the limit.
Someone of my age getting over as I want to get over, and the buy races I want to do, and the sellouts and
shit. You want to talk about buy rates?
Time bigness, yeah.
PCO,
yeah,
could you not to interrupt you, but could you imagine you versus Brock Lesnar? Holy shit. That would be
whatever.
insane.
I've been saying that today. It's going to be the perfect location with the perfect rivalry and the perfect opponent and the perfect timing. I don't know where. I don't know shit about it.
Right.
I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Because all my life I've been saying I'm going to pop a territory. I'm going to pop a territory. That's been haunting. That's been in my mind for so long, and I know that I will pop a territory. I will pop something, and I know that I will do something like very historical. It is already, but something in terms of numbers too, not just the age, but money numbers, something huge. And I know that a movie is going to come out of that, and a nice book and many books and many movies. And there's already like a real-time team, production team that like cameramen and producers they've been following me in real time for the last 2 years. They've been everywhere with me. They've been to Toronto. They've been to Baltimore.
Nice.
They were on the indie scene. Every couple of months we have like interview with the mics. They come in the gym. They film my trainings. They film our trainings. They talk to Destro. Let's say they would come to Baltimore. They'd talk to Marty, to Jay Lito, to my bosses and things like that. So that's going to be a hell of a movie. Just that documentary movie.
Yeah.
It's going to play on theaters. Just this one, the first one we're already working on it. So that's a fact that it's going to be there, but that's going to lead to so many other movies for sure.
Oh yeah, and that's I mean, and especially what is it? What's the big one? What's the big? Is it TSN? Is that the big network out in Canada?
Yeah, TSN. It's across the country. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like ESPN. It's like ESPN.
Right. Yeah, I know. I watch
TSN in Canada.
Me and Sreten both watch a comedy called Letterkenny. Have you ever heard of them?
No, I'm not a big TV watcher for the last 2-3 years. I'm pretty much trying to stay away from TV, radio, and newspapers. Just focusing on career. So I've had my fun. I've done a lot of things, and I've had a lot of experience, and I lived a good life. And for the last 3 years, I've decided that it was time to really roll up the sleeves even more, and to do things that usually take a lifetime to do, but to realize that in a span of time that was a short frame of time, because that's the way it is, and then I have so many other plans for later on. So, I'm never going to stop working. I don't, wrestling wise, it's not about the years, it's about the achievements.
Yeah.
So
and if you can still do it, you're still
could be done in 3 years. It could be done in a year and a half. Who knows? Yeah.
You never know in wrestling. The injury thing's always there, no matter, how tough of a son bitch you are. That's always there. But you've proven that. I see. You watch the videos that you and Destro, and that's just like, holy shit. I don't know if any of that is gimmicked or what, but a lot of the strength shit I know isn't. And I'm watching that, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. So like, it's awesome. But dude, you are super, super beyond like blue collar, like talking about like just buckling down, working on a freaking goal and achieving it. Like just hearing that story, I've known the story, but even before talking to you, just being a fan and witnessing your path of destruction and achievements. and it's super inspiring. You know, it's something that me and Sreten hope to achieve and what we want to do as far as like media wise.
Yeah, exactly.
It's words can't describe how awesome that is, but you're not doing it with a freaking machine behind you. You're doing it. The machine is you, the hard work that you were putting in.
Yeah, exactly. I get up in the morning, I write my ideas down about what I want. You know, like sometimes I'd write 5 ideas, sometimes I write 1 idea, sometimes I could be inspired, I can have 20. But at the end of the year, maybe 5 of them will work, maybe 1 of them, but it's that one idea that I came up with. It is the idea.
Yeah.
Who knows, you know? So, and on top of that, once I start doing that, you know, during the day, things are popping up in my mind because I'm really starting my day focusing on my goal, and then during the day, you know, I always like a piece of paper beside me, and if something pops up in my mind, I'll just write it down for a video, for a Monday night, or for an angle, or for whatever idea. And I always like that, like crazy ideas. Sometimes it's just like, you know, it's the budget to produce it, you know, but we'll find a way to do it, you know.
Well, Todd Sinclair's got money.
There's so much. There's so much coming up. I mean, if people think, you know, where can they go from where they at, PCO and Destro, where can they go from there? Well, we can go very far because we haven't even touched, like, it's just the point of the iceberg. No, there's so much thing you can do with the electricity. We haven't used that very much during the shows. And guys like Jim Johnson, when they do a song, they're also very creative. And then they shoot like ideas on the character as well, because he's been working for Vince for 30 years. So he's like, well, you know, Carl, well, you got something there, you know, you got something in your hands there. So then I get ideas there, ideas here and there, and then it's just a matter of the right timing, just to mention that idea, and then everything's gonna pick up, you know. And we'll see. But I'm really positive about the future.
Oh yeah, it's super bright, and I'm glad you brought that up real quick. I just wanted to touch on that because that's another huge thing. You know, since his exit from WWE, which was mind-blowing, ridiculous, because this guy's responsible for some of the most, if not all of the most memorable WWE entrance theme songs ever. You know, Jim Johnston to do your. He left, and I didn't know if he was doing anything at all. You know, and it surprised me because I'm like, well, why isn't AEW or somebody like that swoop this guy up? And then he does your theme, your new theme, and I'm like, holy shit, you know, like mind blown. And how perfect for you, you know, and in the last couple years that you've had, and then to have that too added to it, like holy shit, man.
Yeah. So like I'm saying, like there's so many pieces of puzzle that I didn't expect. I didn't know how I was gonna get around. Like sometimes, you know, if I'm trying to think too much ahead of time. But if I stay focused on, okay, I'm going to do Friday, Saturday, this tour coming up. Friday's going to be the most important day of my life. Even today's the most important day of my life. Tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. But I don't want to look too far ahead. You know, I got, like I said, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm building. But it's just every morning, roll up the sleeve, man. Like you said, just be beyond blue collar, white collar, whatever you can call it. You just gotta roll those sleeves up and work your ass off.
Go to fucking work,
And now I'm not waiting for any machine to be behind me.
No.
Obviously, Ring of Honor is behind me.
Yes,
but you know, I'm not forcing the company, but by being creative and with coming up with different creative things, they get the sense that I got the business sense, you know. I'm not just picking up a paycheck and waiting at home for the next show.
Right.
I'm doing things.
And that's the great thing about the climate nowadays, PCO, is you don't need, I know what you're saying about the machine. We all know who you're talking about, but you don't need them anymore. You don't need them anymore. You really don't. That's great. It hasn't been like that since like the territory days, or even, to go back a little bit more recent to, the WCW, the Monday Night War days, it's, and guys who work hard and bust their ass like you and are super creative, you are an asset to a lot of people. And yeah, you may have the machine there who can pump out a lot of money and give you ridiculous exposure, but there are also other companies to where you can live very, 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 let me accentuate the varies on that, comfortably without being signed, with a paycheck from McMahon, and that's a great thing for all you guys in the business nowadays, man. It's so great.
It's a great thing. And the other thing about it, I'm talking about tons of money and things like that, but I was never in it for the money. Of course, you want to take care of your family. Of course, you want to have like a car and a house and things like that. You want to be able to live on something. But I was never in for the money. I mean, if I want to become a billionaire, it's not even for the billions. I'll probably give it all away. Like I don't even care. Once again, it's just to reach a goal to I'd give it to my mom, to my dad, to whatever charity. It's just about becoming a better, achieving goals, basically. That's what it is. It's just a goal to become the best that I could be. And it's not to brag about. It's not to throw money at people to say I'm better than you. It's not an ego thing. It's not a power thing. It's just to accomplish something, and it's to look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what? Talking to myself, I'm proud of you, man. You've done it. That's all it is. It's not about millions and billions just to say I'm a billionaire or, I've done this or I've done that. It's just about being with myself. I had a plan, at a certain age, never left my heart, never left my subconscious. It was always there. And I had to find the way to get there, and the goal is to get there. And that's the bottom line. That's what it is. That's what I'm in for. And signing a big deal with a company and being on the bench and to be not doing anything, that doesn't mean
no.
I'd rather not being there. No. You can give me $500,000 for 4 years and to stay home. That won't make me,
It feels a lot better to get the millions.
I'd say no. Vince would call me tomorrow.
Yep.
So, man, I want to take you out of ROH. I give you a 4-5-year deal, $500,000 a year, and I wouldn't even take it. I'd do what I do now.
Yeah,
I'll make my $500,000 a year.
You're earning it,
myself.
Man. You're earning it.
I don't need nobody.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. Hey, when we're talking about the millions and billions and however much money you make, and it's not about the money, and it's not, because I can, I know, and I can hear the passion. It's about the hard work. And my whole thing is, in America or in anywhere in the world, really, hard work deserves to be rewarded with good pay. It doesn't matter if you're a guy pounding a hammer, working on the streets, doing whatever you're doing, or being a professional wrestler. If you are that dedicated, then you deserve every damn dime.
You're passionate. You got to be passionate about it. If it's if you like to pound an hammer for a living, and that you get a thrill out of that, and it makes you feel good inside, and you're happy doing it.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to bring you money. That's one say that always stayed in my mind.
Yeah.
What would you do if you had like all the money in the world? What would you do? In my case, I said I would be a world champion in professional wrestling. I would work my way there to become a world champion in professional wrestling, and to break some records and to accomplish my. If I had all the millions, that's what I would. I would do that. And it says, do it, and you'll get. It's the other way around. Most of the people say, if I would have the money, I would do that. But do that, you will have the money. So it's the other way around. So what would you do if you'd be a millionaire? Well, if you say I would I'd do a radio show, a podcast show, and I'd become a great host, and I want to be in the wrestling world, or I want to be in the rock and roll world, and I want to interview guys. Well, do it, and then it's going to pay off, because it's your passion. It's what drives you.
Yeah.
And that's how I.
Yeah.
Those things always kept in my mind. They always stayed there, and they were like really reinforced in my mindset, and they kept me going through thick and thin. So that's where I'm at.
That's right, brother. Real recognizes real. And PCO, I don't doubt for 1 second that with all those millions and millions, you wouldn't start a hockey team. Come on, fuck the Calgary, fuck the Calgary Hitman. Let's bring them to Montreal.
Let's have fun.
Yeah,
Let's do
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Well, PCO, before we end here, let people know where they can find some merch and support you and find you online.
Yes, all the T-shirts are there. The PCO Monster Mania brand new shirt, PCO Monster Maniac. Feel the electricity. That's my monster in the back of the shirt. Really super nice shirts. They're on 1 Hour Tee, on Pro Wrestling Tee. Just got a new deal with them this week, and I'm gonna post a link later on my right after I'm finishing with you guys. I'm gonna put the links on all my social medias, and all my social medias are at PCO's Not Human, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and PCO Pierre Carl Wallet on YouTube, my YouTube channel, where you got over 100 vignettes of PCO and Destro. So hours and hours of fun.
Yes.
Once you start watching them, you just skip from one to the other one to the other one to the other one. And so that's pretty cool. We were able to put all of them on my YouTube channel, and but on my 3 platforms, I will put the link for the merch. We're gonna sell tons of merch too.
Nice.
I want everybody to have a PCO shirt.
Yeah, hell yeah, they need to have it. That's our monster.
Yeah, Monster Mania, baby.
Yeah, that's right, brother. PCO, thank you once again for coming on the show, brother. It's been one hell of a good time. We'll have to do it again sometime, man.
You gonna do sex to me?